Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're one of my continued followers, I want to thank you. I got to go back into this Nikki Haley thing again. The Republican ex-governor from South Carolina who's running for the presidential nominee. She's a candidate. And the things that are coming out of her mouth are so disturbing, it's appalling. She was born in 1972. She claims to be a brown person. And she said that America is not a racist country. It wasn't then, and it isn't now. But then she goes on to say that she has experienced racism even as young as 8 years old when she was in a pageant with her sister, and they were black and white candidates, and they didn't know where to put her, so she was disqualified for winning the beauty pageant at 8 years old. And this was even in the early 80s. As I said, she was born in 1972. Now, mind you, she's saying she experienced racism at 8 years old. But remember, Vanessa Williams won the Miss USA in 1984, just a few years later. She talks out of both sides of her mouth. She says that this country is not a racist country, but she has experienced racism. And that she has felt racism even as a child. What is she saying? She was the same person who was the governor of South Carolina that did not know that slavery was part of the Civil War and that South Carolina was part of the Confederacy. This makes not an ounce of sense. She is the epitome of the American modern day politician that will say anything that comes out of her mouth. She has the color. She's a female where she can waffle. She looks white, but her ethnicity is Indian from India. Her parents are immigrants. They migrated over here, so she's part of the migrant crisis issue. She should appeal to that. She is a person of color. However, she does not look it. So she's trying to waffle her way to be a conservative Republican, but she wants to garner the black vote. She's not going to get it by saying that America has never been racist. We had segregation, slavery, Jim Crow laws. Everybody knows that America was built on colonialization and racism and the free slave labor of people of color. This makes not an ounce of sense of the things that are coming out of her mouth. I'm just stunned and appalled, and I don't want to continue to do videos on her, but the things that are coming out of her mouth don't make an ounce of sense. She sounds like a complete hypocrite. How could she say that there was no racism in America, and America's not a racist country, but she experienced it as early as 8 years old? America has been racist and sexist and has been an oligarchy since the beginning of time, since 1776. And even early documents called Native Americans who were here first savages. And she's not Native American, but she's an Indian from India who should be able to relate to Native Americans and of people of color. She is definitely lying and gaslighting right in front of you. She will not be the Republican nominee. She's a Republican candidate, but she will not be the nominee. Trump may still put her on the ticket as his vice president because it will soften the sexism, the narrow-minded visions that Trump has had for women, people of color. she would fit those two boxes, being a woman of color and also being a woman. It would help soften him a little bit. And remember, Biden picked Kamala Harris, who during the presidential Democratic debate, she called him a racist because he voted down busing and the desegregation of schools. And he still picked her. And Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, is a buffoon, and I don't like her one bit at all. She has done absolutely nothing. She sounds as silly and as robotic as Nikki Haley. I don't know why we can't find intelligent, strong women, white, black, blue, green, to be a presidential or vice presidential candidate. But Kamala Harris and Nikki Haley don't do anything but gaslight. They sound like robots. They let their speechwriters write for them. They don't make an ounce of sense. But I think President Trump still might have Nikki Haley as his vice presidential running mate if it's not Vivek, the other guy, the Indian guy. I think he still may have her because nobody cares about who the vice president is. The Republican Party and conservatives want Donald Trump in office, and who he picks as a running mate probably does not matter. And then you have to think about, she's waffling in both races, the white race and the black race. Her skin color fits right in the middle. You can't really tell unless you know what her real name is. And it's amazing how she goes by Nikki Haley versus her real name, Naimaratu, which is her real Indian name, because that's too ethnic. And it would fall her in the guise of being more on the black side or the minority side. She has been a waffler, and that has allowed her to navigate herself all the way to becoming the governor of South Carolina. But this woman has no historical perspective on America. Even though she was born here, her parents are immigrants. She has waffled in white society the majority of her life. She sounds like an elitist. She sounds like she's talking at people instead of to people. And the minority vote getters, if Republicans want the minority votes, they're not going to get a whole lot from her. She does not appeal to the black vote or the minority vote at all. But they still will put her in if Donald Trump gets the Republican nominee to run for president against Biden and the Democrats in 2024. They'll still place her in there because the vice president doesn't do anything. They're just a puppet. But for her to say that she has experienced racism as early as 8 years old in America, but America is not racist, is antithetical, hypocritical, and makes not an ounce of sense. She will sell her soul. She's gaslighting, and she will sell her soul to the highest bidder because evidently her political aspirations personally are more important than the people's freedom and the decisions to make America a better and great place is secondary to her ambitions to be the president or the vice president. Please don't fall for the smoke and the sauce. Nikki Haley is delusional and lives in this false utopian world that does not make an ounce of sense.